And of course, we give thanks for your presence with us. Glorify life giver and the keeper of life. Power and might of the Holy Trinity, we give thanks for such. And we glorify the Honorable Marcus Garvey. Of course, we are thankful for the order of the Black Christ, King Emmanuel Charles Edwards. Blessed love to each and everyone. Salamta, greetings, shalom, and hotep. We're thankful for your presence with us, of course, in the nest, the tiger's nest. This is the mystic vibration. Of course, every evening we, make sure we bring something to the public to edify and inspire and teach and open new doors, things for us to investigate and, different levels from history, the cosmics, everything from all different angles. And tonight will be no different. The sound that you heard a moment ago is the sound of the orca, is the sound of a killer whale. And not just the sound of a killer whale, but a killer whale in captivity. This evening we're going to talk about the orca, the killer whale. And although we speak of the tiger and the tiger's nest, the tiger is my primary animal spirit is the tiger. I have a few other animal spirits as well. I may have said it to you already, but I wouldn't say it now, but trust me. Animal spirit, yes, and spirit I said. Animal spirit number one is the tiger. Now, I'm of the opinion that everybody has a link with not just an animal, but several animals, trees, fruits, flowers, different things, planets. We all have these links with these different things. Stones, gems, crystals. Some people are more connected to gold, some people are more connected to jade, some people more connected to diamonds, some people more connected to Venus, some people more connected to Andromeda. Maybe you're connected to a specific galaxy, star. So don't think you're just there by yourself. You're never alone. You can connect with the elements as well. Messiah God will tell you how to look for him, because he knows where and what he's connected to. The black tiger, eh? And in the realms of the animals, I once did a program, a little short YouTube video, that's about 4 or 5 years ago. And I did this in England, actually. I was at the zoo, really. And I was by the emperor penguin's pool. And I decided to just do a quick thing on Noah's Ark. I'm sure you may have seen it. And what I was saying in that video is that the underlying moral of the story in the Noah's Ark story is that Noah was preaching for a long, long, long time. And Noah was calling the people to repentance and told them that they should come into the ark. If you want to get down to the grassroots levels of the story, Noah was building a boat. But if you want to keep it on its true level and the highest understanding, the Noah character was calling the people into the life-saving energy of the ark. Nobody came. Everybody refused. They took Noah for a joke. Well, they came, but they came too late. But yet still, Noah's message found the ear of at least two of every single animal that was on the planet. to the point that every animal cave, every animal, with maybe the exception of the sea creatures, but outside of the dolphin, whale, and I guess the fish, and whatever else can live in the sea without any problem, every other animal came. Well, nobody really explained this, I'm just using my common sense, really. I mean, if you have a boat and all the animals came, I'd assume, and because they came because the world was going to be flooded, I would believe that the sea creatures could have stayed where they were. I don't know how they're getting in the boat, and I mean, yeah. So I'm just using my common sense. And to be honest, for those who may not understand us properly and maybe saying, man, I don't believe in them story, please, don't, if you're sitting next to this person, tell him to be quiet or tell her to be quiet, because you know better. Don't, I don't like them kind of things, When you see me talking, man, people should listen. And there are people that want to listen, but there's somebody that's always in the room that they just have to talk. Oh, I know what he's saying, I read a book and I talking to, No, man, if you're going to talk, put me on pause. You understand? So, since this is live here, there ain't no pause at the moment, but for those who will listen it afterwards, there is a pause. Because somebody will say, oh, I don't believe in the Noah story, because we have already covered that. We have done that, been there and done that. And the class, those who are always present, they understand the full science of the Noah's Ark. And that's why we separate the science of Noah's Ark from a man building a boat and taking two of every animal. We have done that. So if you haven't heard that program, we have crystallized that program in the form of a video. And it's on our space on YouTube. So all you got to do is go on our YouTube channel and type in Noah's Ark. Last time I checked, it needs some views for real. That's why when some people come and say, oh, and comment and say certain things, all I do is just point them to the video. I mean, what am I going to do? Answer them? The answer is there already. So, to keep on track now, the main point is animals were the ones that got saved. People say animals ain't got no soul, but they got saved though. They got saved on the day of reckoning, when Allah, who is the greatest Noah, called for people to come and nobody even looked at him. But the giraffe came and the polar bear came and, grasshoppers were hopping in. Even the detestable, or the what's the right word? The animals that we detest. Yeah, detestable. The animals that we don't like. Even they got into the boat. Yes, detestable is a word. Go and look it up. I'm telling you. So, yeah, somebody saying detestable. Yeah, man, it's English, man. You know how it is. It's an adjective, really. So, I'm just saying, that is why it's important for us to take the time to look at the plight of the animals of the world. As I said in that Noah's video that I did, not the one that I was pointing you to, but the short video that I did at the penguins pool, because it's two different Noah's video, right? Yeah, I don't even know what their title, I just know it's something about Noah's Ark, so you got to be very careful when you check for them. But there's one I did, I was obviously standing by a pool with some penguins. That's the one I'm referring to now. But the one that I'm telling you to check out, where I went into detail as it relates to the theology of Noah's Ark and its story, that's another video. You're not going to see my picture in the video. You will see Noah's Ark, the boat, and some other things that I use as like a PowerPoint. But in the video I did by the pool, I was highlighting again that only animals were saved. And this is why, even at that time, I was at a zoo where I explained that a zoo, again, is the jail for animals. These animals are in jail, they're in prison. When you see we put them in zoos. So what I wanted to do tonight is to visit the situation with the killer whale. One of my more favorite animals, for sure, the killer whale. I love the killer whales. Oh. And just like the dolphin, everyone knows there's a certain level of connection that they have with nature. People say they're like humans. Why you want to say that? They're like killer whales. What do you mean they're like humans? Why not say you're like a killer whale? They're like killer whales. They're like what they are, and orcas, and whatever the real word is from creation, but that's what they are. And elephants. And people say elephant is the smartest and this and that. All the animals are intelligent, brother. All of them. There's no animal that's not intelligent. I have a whole lecture that I do on the animals, eh? Go to the ants. That's the name of the lecture. But I want to focus on the orca for a moment. And this documentary kind of gives you an idea of the state of the entertainment industry as it relates to the killer whale, or the state of the killer whale as it relates to the entertainment industry, SeaWorld and the like. So I just want to run this here for a moment. In the beginning, they're going to kind of give you an idea, a little history too, of where the whole zoo vibration came from. Do you know black people were the first people that were put into zoos? Yeah, man, we were the first act in the zoos. The Africans that they had as slaves were the first people, not even slaves. Slavery already came to an end. But yet still they're using us, putting us in cages and having us with monkeys, and people would come and pay and watch us. That's zoo number one. And then they decided to go to Africa and get some animals. And then all of a sudden it's just this big business now, the zoo. But let us follow this.
These large marine mammals are very social creatures. Killer whales, more properly known as orcas, are smart and self-aware. Orcas live in large, closely knit, highly complex social groups with cultural traditions, typically numbering 5 to 25 members. Their lifespan is long, males up to 70 years, females up to 90 years. Calves live with their mothers until sexual maturity, but quite often they stay together their whole lives. Orcas, like other types of whales and dolphins, do not belong to any country and by no means can be viewed as someone's property. Free will and freedom of movement characterize their existence. But some people take orcas out of their natural habitat for scientific and cultural purposes and put them on display in marine parks, as there will always be a bunch of onlookers willing to pay for the entertainment. Perhaps a brief trip into the past will help us to understand. In the 19th century, Europeans and North Americans came up with an incredible idea to create human zoos, which were also known as ethnological expositions, human exhibitions, and Negro villages. The purpose was to exhibit natives from different regions in their natural state. Zoo owners gladly put Africans, Native Americans, and Polynesians into their exhibits. Typically, they were forcefully taken from their native land. Usually, the exhibits were arranged in the form of whole villages. Quite often, black Africans were put together with great apes to demonstrate them as an evolutionary stage between animals and civilized white people. They were forced to do tricks to entertain the audience. There were also scientists who worked in these human zoos. They were conducting experiments and were studying the behavior of the humans of lower races. Despite medical care and good food, live exhibited subjects often suffered from depression and they had high mortality rates. Wanda was the first orca captured by humans in 1961. She survived for
Okay,
just
hold on. Let's just keep this good so we can follow. So he's saying that Wanda is the first orca that was captured by humans, and this was in 1961. So I'm just clarifying so that we can follow suit. So just listen clearly to what is being said here.
First orca captured by humans in 1961. She survived for just 2 days in a tank at the Marineland Aquarium in California. She supposedly committed suicide. She violently...
No, hold on. He's going to tell you what she did, but I just wanted to get it good. Because from here on, this is the pace we're going to be at. So you just got to train your ears to listen properly. So Wanda was caught in 1961. She died within 2 days. Reportedly committed suicide. Violently beating her head against the bucket that they put her in.
Wanda was the first orca captured by humans in 1961. She survived for just 2 days in a tank at the Marineland Aquarium in California. She supposedly committed suicide. She violently banged herself against the walls, trying to swim away.
Listen now, listen.
In 1964, the Vancouver Aquarium in Canada ordered a live orca as a life-size model for a sculptor. When one orca was harpooned near the shores of British Columbia, 2 of her pod mates came to her and started pushing the injured whale to the surface so she could breathe. Hunters had been pulling Moby Doll to Vancouver for 16 hours across a long 80 nautical miles. She didn't die.
Hold on. That's her name, Moby Doll. Not Moby Dick, Moby Doll. They've been pulling her. This is in Canada, pulling her for 16 hours with a harpoon, stuck in her. And her family, the whales, pushing her to the surface so she can breathe. Can you imagine this?
Across a long
and hold on. Why did they need her? For a lifestyle sculpture of a whale. These wicked people, man.
Pulling Moby Doll to Vancouver for 16 hours across a long 80 nautical miles. She didn't die. She was put into a tank where she swam in endless circles. She started accepting food only on the 55th day, but died a month later, supposedly from skin disease. An autopsy showed that Moby Doll was actually a male, but by then, it didn't matter.
No.
That's how the capture of orca.
So when you understand, well, it's not a she, it's a he. But hear that now. So he did not eat anything from the hands of the enemy for 55 days. And when they put him in the, when they put Moby Doll in the tank, he just kept swimming around in circles, swimming around in circles, swimming around in circles. Eating after 55 days within no time, he's dead. Reportedly of some skin disease, pardon me. But the skin disease is a regular thing amongst these whales that are caught. As we go along, you will hear more. Because they've been taken totally out of their environment. That's a very serious thing, man. This is psychological, the psychological effect that is upon these animals. It's just like a human being. You can't just it's torture. It's torture. These whales are accustomed to swim so far, thousands of miles, and you're going to put that in a bathtub? Oh man, what do you expect? As I said in another video, on the Serengeti, the zebra, accustomed to, the wildebeest, accustomed to make that migration going through Kenya and Tanzania and wherever they go, on the Serengeti plains, and going through the river and jumping over crocodiles. They do that like clockwork. Just like certain fruits bloom in certain seasons, these animals know when to move. In fact, they're so precise that all the wildebeest have their youth like within a 2-week span. And it is said that if a calf is born after the time frame, more than likely the calf will not make it, because the moment will come, they all born, or they all give birth at a specific time to coincide with the moment that they have to move again. And they do this every year, back and forward, back and forward, back and forward, back and forward, naturally. They don't just train themselves to do it. There's something inside of them, instinctively, that tells them it's time to go, it's time to move, it's time to return, it's time to mate. This is naturally in them. And you're going to take this animal from off of that pattern, from that level, and put it inside of a cage where it takes 10 steps and it, already go from one end to the other end of the cage. Cage. Well, it's like a cage. 10 steps. Can you imagine that? And even if you make it a little bigger and try to make it seem a little bit like Africa, how far can they go? That ain't no Serengeti. So even when you put the whale in a big tub, that doesn't make a difference. In swimming pool water with chlorine. Come on, what do you expect to happen to its skin?
Because exploitation and slave trade started.
I tell you.
In 1965, the owner of the Seattle Aquarium, Ted Griffin, bought from the fishermen in the port of Namu a young male orca which was accidentally caught in their nets.
Yeah.
While Namu, named after the port by his new owner, was being loaded into the floating sea pen, his pod of 30 or so orcas stayed close by and then followed the boat for some time.
Oh, man.
The journey was long, about 450 miles, and took 3 weeks. For 4 days, a female orca with a few youngsters had been following Namu. This was most likely his mother and siblings. Namu became the first orca to perform for the public, and according to Griffin, money started pouring into his pocket.
Wickedness. So you can see what's going on here. So when you take up 1 killer whale, the whole flock follow you for miles, hundreds of miles. And even if after a while, some of them, stop following, as you could see, the mother and his direct siblings was still behind the boat.
At the same time, 1965 marks the first protests against the orca captures. Griffin caught another orca in 1965 to keep Namu company, a 3-year-old whale, and shot her mother during the capture, who drowned in front of her daughter's eyes.
No. The fact that these whales move like that, obviously that would be extremely traumatic for Shamu, because this one is Shamu now, the one that he's talking of. He'll tell you. So you could imagine that you stick me with a harpoon and my mother come to check for me and you kill her in front of me. Because the way that the orcas behave, you obviously see they have some level of deep understanding, deep passion, and deep affection for each other. They're like human beings. I hope not. Not them human beings that are around here. They're like who they are. So what do you think is going through the mind of the killer whale when you take it into captivity and kill its mother? Sooner or later, that same killer whale is going to kill you. Or no? Let's continue.
The captured whale got her name from Namu. She plus Namu equaled Shamu. Shamu acted aggressively toward Griffin. She tried to smash him in the water when he was sitting on top of the whale.
Of course. She acted viciously against Griffin. The same one that killed his mother or her mother. She tried to crush him against the pool wall when he was sitting on top of the killer whale.
Or was just in the pool. Ted decided to get rid of her and sold Shamu to SeaWorld in San Diego. Shamu became the fourth captured orca and the first orca ever to be transported by plane. Nemu survived for 11 months in the waterfront pen in Seattle. One day before his death, Nemu stopped reacting to people and banged himself full speed against the walls of his pen in an attempt to swim away. A popular movie starring Nemu was released in 1966. Shamu survived in captivity longer than Nemu. She was the star of the Shamu show. The name Shamu was trademarked by SeaWorld and has been given to different orcas at different times when performing in Shamu shows. In 1971, a SeaWorld secretary, Annette Eckes, was allowed to ride Shamu for a publicity shoot. Suddenly, the whale turned on her, tossed Annette into the water, grabbed her leg, and started pulling her around the tank, refusing to let go. The whale's jaws were finally open with poles, and the woman required many stitches to close her wounds. 3 months later, after 6 years in captivity, Shamu died at the age of 9.
At the age of 9, that Shamu there. I've seen a Shamu at Walt Disney World as a young child. I've seen Shamu. Yeah, and I could remember it vividly. Right here, speaking to you, I could see clearly in my head Shamu flipping up and doing all kind of things and splashing water, and I could see it. I mean, I enjoyed it at the time, but now it's a different vibes altogether. So they had one of the secretaries of SeaWorld riding on Shamu, and Shamu just decided to take her and chew her up, refusing to let go her leg. Now, where are you supposed to stand on this? Meaning, what sort of emotional expression should you lay here? Because most of us are going to say, oh my, poor girl. Okay, if you're doing that, that's good. Because I surely ain't doing that. So if that's necessary, well, at least you can take care of that part. Me, when it comes to that kind of vibration, come on, man. You understand what the whale is going through? You understand that's the kind of mentality that keeps us in slavery. That's the kind of mentality that keeps us in slavery, beating and whipping and killing the slave and doing the slave all sorts of things. And when the slave finally get a chance, sometimes the slave has blood in his eyes and he picks up the gun and all he sees in front of him is 5 slave masters, or let's just say 5 white people. And he just started to shoot and kill them all. What are we going to say? Oh no, the little girl didn't beat you. Boss, listen, God will take care of that then. Let's put it that way. God will take care of that. When you're in them kind of position there, you just eat anybody. Man, the same whale kill its own self a few days after, a few years after, whatever the case is. Suicide, bang its head against the wall. You could see that it is a psychological state of mind that the whale was in, all the whales. You are oppressing and depressing the orcas. So they don't have no time for that. Yes, in the case of Griffin, Shamu knew that this was the killer that killed my mother. And from day one, Shamu acted, as they said, viciously, if that was the word, I can't remember, against him. But the point is, she wanted to rip him apart and actually tried to crush him on several occasions until he had to get rid of her. Them is real warriors here, not like how we behave. They remind us of the so-called slaves that were in the field, the nocturners and the Denmark Vesey and the King Court, the prince classes of those times. The Mama Africa from the Sherkley Mountains, the rebellious slaves that don't just bow and catch fish and say, yes, master, but tear you up. And I could imagine these whales when they're performing in flipping on the water and doing all that they have to do. They used to have a dolphin named Flipper too. They call him Flipper. Flipper must have want to kill them, said we. I could imagine them dancing and singing and saying, hey, anytime I catch him in here again, I biting off his head.
In 1965, Ted Griffin and Don Goldsberry created a team and started trapping orcas in the waters of Washington State and the Canadian province of British Columbia. The main tactic was locating orca pods from the air, driving them into coves with boats and seal bombs, and throwing a wall of nets across their escape path. The hunting team even got an order from the Pentagon, where they studied dolphins for military purposes and were interested in orcas as well. 2 orcas, Ishmael and Ahab, had been delivered to a naval military base in Hawaii in 1968 for use in Project Deep Object Recovery. Ishmael escaped 2 years later, and Ahab died after spending 5.5 years in captivity. Even back in the 70s, the Pentagon supplied Griffin with advanced electronic equipment for tracking whales in any weather conditions.
Wicked.
Griffin and Goldsberry sold about 30 orcas to different marine parks from 1965 to 1972,
Goldsberry.
getting $20,000 to $25,000 for each whale.
Millions today.
During an infamous 1970 roundup in Puget Sound, the Griffin-Goldsberry team trapped about 80 whales. While in Penn Cove, they used nets and power boats to separate calves from their mothers. The horrible cries had been heard all around. Mothers were trying to help their offspring and were not leaving the capture site.
Listen.
The hunters selected 7 young orcas and sold them to different parks in America, Britain, Australia, and Japan. Among them was 4-year-old Tokate, who ended up in Marine's aquarium and was renamed Lolita. 5 whales died during that capture. They were cut open and sunk with the help of metal chains. Half a year later, their bodies washed ashore, which caused incredible public outrage. People were very concerned about the orca gold rush, and a wave of protests and demonstrations started around the globe. In 1970, Canada passed laws regulating orca captures, with one of the regulations requiring a mandatory permit for capture. In 1972, the U.S. passed the Marine Mammal Protection Law, which prohibits taking marine mammals from U.S. waters without a special permit. Still, SeaWorld keeps updating permits for captures for educational purposes. Canadian marine biologist Michael Bigg discovered that an orca's dorsal fin is similar to human fingerprints in that it is individual and unique. Starting in 1972, scientists started collecting photos of the dorsal fins and systematizing data about the numbers of orcas. It turned out that there were far fewer orcas in the Northeast Pacific than previously thought, not thousands, but hundreds. Scientists began conducting some serious research into marine mammals. In 1975, due to the actions of environmentalists and Michael Bigg's research publications, Canada banned orca captures. From 1964 to 1975, 25 orcas had been captured in the waters of British Columbia. In 1976, the governor of Washington State was informed that SeaWorld's captors were using aircraft and explosives to herd and net the whales, which was a clear violation of the terms of their collection permit. Consequently, the court ordered a ban on orca captures by SeaWorld in the state of Washington. Overall, 300 orcas had been netted in the waters of the U.S. and Canada until 1976.
Wow.
Some killer whales managed to escape, some were released, and at least 12 died during capture attempts.
Imagine that.
About 56 young orcas were sold to marine parks all over the world. 16 of them died within 1 year of capture, and then the others died as well, leaving only 2 alive. Corky, who was captured in British Columbia in December 1969, still lives in SeaWorld San Diego. Lolita has been held in the Miami Seaquarium since 1970. Ted Griffin left his business in 1972 after the passing of of the Marine Mammal Protection Act, Don Goldsberry became SeaWorld's lead collector until he retired in the late 1980s. Starting in 1976, capture activity moved to the northern part of the Atlantic Ocean. From 1955 to 1972, Icelandic fishermen killed around 300 orcas as they were competitors for fish. From 1975, capture operations and the issue of permits was regulated by the Icelandic Ministry of Fisheries. After Puget Sound, SeaWorld did not want to be officially involved, but Don Goldsberry agreed to unofficially assist less experienced collectors, including John Gunnarsson of Seyðisfjörður Aquarium in Iceland and W.H. Dudok van Heel from Dolphinarium Harderwijk in Holland. The main method of capture worked like this. When the pod of orcas was spotted in the open sea, they were lured into the nets with fish thrown from the boats. The selected whale was then lifted from the water with a special frame. From 1976 to 1989, 64 orcas had been captured in the waters of Iceland. Of those 64, 55 have been sold to different aquariums and marine parks. Only 6 survive to this day. Katina and Tilikum are in SeaWorld Orlando. Kasatka and Ulysses are in SeaWorld San Diego. Kiska is at Marineland in Ontario, Canada. And Stella is in Port Nagoya in Japan. Due to public pressure, many countries have now passed laws protecting whales and dolphins. In 1978, New Zealand passed the Marine Mammals Protection Law, and in 1980, a similar law was passed in Australia. Britain did not pass a law prohibiting captures and having marine mammals in captivity, but there had been significant changes regulating their welfare in captivity, so many dolphinariums started to close their doors since they could not meet the new requirements. Under public pressure in 1985, the Department of the Environment commissioned biologists Dr. Margaret Klinowska and Dr. Susan Brown to research and review the keeping of cetaceans in UK zoos and aquaria.
Now you see, this is what this systematic evil politics is all about. Before you just say, yo, leave the whales, we have to pass laws, and we have to regulate, and we have to lighten things. And well, we're not going to make you stop, but you need to do this when you have them, and to ensure that the sanity of them is kept. How are you going to do that? Leave the animals, right? Let me show you the mind. Remember, we were doing the program on the psychological state of our people, and we were talking about the British monarchy and so on. I don't eat fish, eh? I think it's cruel to eat the animal. Yeah. I just think so. Eyes and teeth and feathers and fins. People say, oh, don't give him no chicken. He don't love chicken. I mean, I don't love chicken. I love chicken very much. I love the chicken. That's why I don't eat chicken, because I love the chicken. I ain't going to eat who I love. What are you talking about? You don't love the chicken. That's why you eat the chicken. Now, I'm saying that the fish, I don't eat fish. But I think, and I don't think a human has to eat no fish, but I'm saying that in the world of predators and kill and eat, a lion or a leopard or whatever, they don't just go and kill animals for fun. They kill and eat when they are hungry. So a zebra, a wildebeest can just walk in front of a lion when his belly is full. He or she ain't gonna move an inch. The only how they would attack you is if you are a scavenger or something, trying to take away the food that they have saved for later. But they are not as vicious as the people, the media would like us to believe. I'm saying that to say it's only human beings that act like that. When you watch sport fishing, this alone gives you an idea of where we are. I used to go fishing with my father. And when we catch fish, you know what we do with the fish? We carry it home, we clean it and fry it down real dry and make us some kind of sauce or whatever it is that the old man do with the fish. Yeah, with thanks for my father. Blessed love. But just like the animal, we catch it to eat it. Again, I ain't backing no eating of no fish, but I'm showing you there was a purpose behind of this. A, if you want to say, a genuine purpose for food. When you watch sport fishing, it's just that. How can you throw out your line and you hook, not catching them, you hook a swordfish, you hook a marlin, you hook whatever it is you hook. Sometimes they hook a shark. You have to keep in mind, that when you throw out your line, we're talking about the hook, just as I said, the hook going through the jaws of the fish, going through maybe the top part of your mouth there. When I was small, I got a pen by mistake. I had a pen in my mouth and someone just leaned back on me and the pen went up into the top of my, the roof of my mouth then. I can't give you the exact terminology for it, but the roof of my mouth. And I had to go to the hospital. I had to get stitches and all, the full nine. It was nice. In fact, if I rub my tongue, I'm speaking and rubbing my tongue, that's why I sound there. If I rub my tongue against the roof of my mouth, I can still feel the indentation there in the roof of my mouth. And that happened a long time ago, man. I'm talking like a while ago, maybe 25 years ago. So I'm saying you have a hook that is lodged now in the roof of the mouth of a fish, of an eel. Well, let's stick to the fish, because it's fish these fellas catching here. The fish, the marlin, the swordfish, the jackfish, whatever it is, and here you are reeling him in. Now he's fighting with you now, he or she, the fish fighting with you, wiggling like a snake, pardon me, jumping out of the water and jumping back in, and you fighting with this fish sometime for minutes, maybe a good 7 minutes, you're battling it, and the other fellas in the boat, come on Jim, hold it, don't let him get away, don't get, and they reel him in, come on, just loose it a bit, now reel him in, and they 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 finally get, okay, come on, grab him, oh yeah, this is a beauty. Oh, this is a big one here. You get a picture of that, Sam? And they click. Wow, this one is, and look at the fin, and they look at the fin, and they open their mouth, and they they examine him, and I guess somebody there keeping score, got to be. They measure it and all of that. All the time the fish can't breathe, The fish is suffocating at that very moment there, when Jim and Sam are taking pictures, photo op with Mr. Scales. And they're laughing, it's not like anything. And the fish is suffering. Now, this may sound strange, but I'm saying that after all of that, they put the fish back in the water. Sometimes they have the nerve to give the fish a pat like, all right, brother, go on. Take care of yourself now. And then they throw the line out again to try to catch another one. Now, what's wrong with that picture there? Why I said it may sound strange is because if they were to say, wow, the missus is going to love this, we're going to just, batter this down and fry it in the deep fryer. Oh yeah, I'm going to make some nice fish fillet. Although I'm not in agreement with that at all, for several reasons. But I'm trying to bring myself to a level of understanding that this is what you eat. I mean, the same thing goes for anybody that eat any animal, even if you didn't catch the animal. Even if you go to kill fast chicken and buy it, in a sense, you are a part of the whole murder of the fowl. Yeah, you're a part of it. You are a part. If the judge and the jury have to come for the killer, they're gonna implicate you too, because you bought the stolen goods or the murdered goods, and you even ate the evidence. I mean, so I mean, the upholder is just as bad as the thief or the killer or the murderer. Because you're promoting it. They kill it so you could eat it because they know you're going to come and buy it. So you're all one. Yeah, that's how I see it. But I'm bringing myself to an understanding that you kill the animal to eat it. And for whatever reason, you feel that that is food. All right, I'm humbling myself here. And that is why I would see with that, to a degree, that you catch the fish. Maybe you even tell the fish, brother, sorry I had to do this, but we got to eat. All right. But for you to fight with this fish for so long, you're trying to catch the biggest fish too, eh? That's why you don't put, not what you call it. It's not worms they put on these hooks, you know. It's not no little guppy they're trying to catch. So they put a big fish as the bait, because they're trying to catch a bigger fish, so that they can wrestle with this big fish as if they name Ric Flair. And they pull and pull, and I can imagine the water is getting bloody and the fish is fighting, damaging, you know, vital arteries and veins that the fish have in its own system in its head, just to take the fish out, have the fish suffocating for a picture, and then put the fish back in the water. Boss, them is wickedness. That's why I'm saying it would have been better if you carried it home and fried it down. At least I think I could understand. I think my senses would at least kind of go with the flow and say, well, maybe, you know, I mean, this is how they get down. They gotta eat something. This is what they eat. I mean, they're not vegan as yet. Whatever. One more time, I don't agree with that. But it makes more sense to me than to carry the fish through that. It shows you that these people really don't care about the feelings of the animals. Remember, you know, these are the people, that is why I took the time to go through the European monarchs and the history from Nero down to Stalin, to show you how brutal the whole British monarch is, the French Revolution, wow, the Inquisition, mercy, the Dark Ages, Lord have mercy. Look, them is some killers. So when they took hold of us now, it's not no great hatred of us, you know. That's just how they roll. If they caught their own teaching us to read, they would do the same to them. This is how they roll. Ask John Brown how they rolled. They didn't care that he was one of them. You trying to save the niggers here? Let's show you what we do to nigger haters. Look how they beat up the fella on the Freedom Ride bus. I'm sure you've seen the videos. Keep your eyes on the prize. Man, if they had a next minute with him, he wouldn't have no eyes to keep on nothing. So when they deal with the animals like this now, that's the point I'm getting to. It's the same mentality. Africans sold Africans into slavery. What? You still alive? Ah. We never dealt with animals in this fashion. Nowhere. A lot of the elephant tusks that we, parade with and different things is after the animal has passed. And yeah, there are different stories from different tribes where the boy is sent out to wrestle with a lion and bring back the dead lion. Okay, all of that has a certain level to it. But you can't compare that with how these people operate. Japanese too, man. That's why the Japanese, with their whaling business, get a hard fight internationally. The Japanese too, and the Chinese, when it comes to the killer whales, must be that Mongolian Genghis Khan, Kublai Khan blood in them. I don't know what kind of people can deal with other people plus animals like that. Noah's Ark.
A review of Dolphinaria was published in 1986 and contained different recommendations regarding the welfare of cetaceans in captivity, changes which had to be implemented no later than 1993. In 1991, Windsor Park could no longer afford the reconstruction of their orca tank and had to return Winnie to SeaWorld Orlando. A year later, the last dolphinarium in England closed its doors. In 1982, the representative of a Canadian aquarium, despite having obtained a capture permit, wasn't able to use it because of protests held by activists, both on land and on the water. He gave up and bought 3 orcas from Iceland. In 1983, SeaWorld had tried to establish the capture of orcas in Alaska, having obtained a permit to capture 100 whales, out of which about 90 were supposed to be taken temporarily for research and then released, with 10 from marine parks.
Right.
After 3 years of court battles, with public outrage in the background, the result was SeaWorld pulling out of Alaska. In 1985, an orca named Kalina was born in SeaWorld Orlando. She was called Baby Shamu. She was the first orca to survive out of 10 calves that had been born in captivity before 1985. 5 were stillborn, and all the others died within 2 months of their births. Starting in 1989, American marine parks switched completely to breeding captive marine mammals.
That may have been the shamu that I saw as a young child at SeaWorld.
In 1989, the last 4 orcas were caught in Iceland. Under international pressure from different environmental organizations and conservation groups, Iceland stopped issuing permits in 1990. The first human being to be killed by a captive orca happened in February 1991. 20-year-old student Kelty Byrne, who worked as a part-time trainer, had slipped and fallen into the orca tank at Sealand of the Pacific.
Well,
although Tilikum wasn't the first one who began dragging Kelty, he took part, along with Haida and Nootka, in tossing the trainer from one orca to another. The girl tried to escape, and her screams...
You see that? Them whales team up. The one that killer is not the one that started the attack. And they were throwing her from one whale to the other. Could you imagine going through that? But you don't need to imagine that. I hope. Because you're not a trainer of these whales. I mean, come on, man. You're going to have sympathy here? You're fighting war, and above you there's a plane, and inside the plane there's a pilot and the person that has the Gatling gun up there. And the person that had the Gatling gun is, in the old time days in war, you see the door of the plane open and they're firing down at you and they're killing your people from that plane. Now the man that flying the plane isn't really the man in a sense that's killing you. I mean, they're obviously working together. But he just flying the plane. It's the man with the Gatling gun that's killing you. And killing your people. What you mean to say? I supposed to try my very, very best to shoot the man with the Gatling gun and hope I don't miss and knock the pilot? What are you talking about? In fact, in fact, it would be better to kill the pilot. Because when you kill the pilot, the plane going to crash. And whoever else in there, whatever they're doing, the cook, the chef, the one that washed the clothes, whoever find themselves amongst them is a part of them. So the trainer, I don't care how nice she is, and she come and kiss Shamu or whoever the whale is on his mouth and throw some little dead fish for him. You think sardines can buy us out? Them fellas done her. Done her. If you're listening and maybe she's your relative, because these things can happen. Because the program is going to be heard by millions. All the world one day will hear my voice. But that's how the cookie crumbles, yo. You think I was going to say I'm sorry? No, man. Everybody is somebody. Everybody is somebody's family. Everybody is somebody's brother, uncle, mother, or something. I never hear nobody say, well, listen, if you are related to Hitler, I'm very sorry. But nah, I never hear that. Hitler get thrown to the train like nobody business. Them people deal with Hitler so bad. Not that I care about no Hitler, but just I have to express it so to show you how hypocritical propaganda is. What Hitler? Hitler? Boss. And the thing is with Hitler, no, Hitler was fighting to regain what was taken from his people. That's the mystic with Hitler. I ain't got no love for Hitler. Hitler ain't got no love for me. But compared to them other maniacs, Hitler ain't nothing. Even Mussolini, all what Hitler was going on with the high Hitler and all of them styles that he had and the arm signals. Mussolini was the one that showed him and taught him all of that. Remember, Mussolini was ruling Italy way before Hitler came into power. Now. Even before the emperor crowned Mussolini to be, specific. But Mussolini was the one that got the Vatican cracking again before the God was crowned. Hitler came to power after the Most High ascended to the throne. You understand? Stalin is one of the most, Stalin, man. What a brutal terror. Queen Elizabeth the first and Queen Elizabeth the now. Them is some demons. What are you talking about? So when they bring out Hitler now and go on as if Hitler is the worst. Come on. Yeah. So this person here that the whale, the first person that the whale killed, let me find, what was her name there? Kelty Barney. What you do to whales? What did you do to them? What you doing there? You didn't have no heart? Why you didn't try to free them? You should have been campaigning. What, your little job? Well, okay. You got to pay the consequences then. That's how I see it. Straight up. I mean, you may think I'm cold-hearted or whatever, but that's how I think about these things we're talking about. Any zoo trainer, anybody feeding tigers, anybody there, trust me. Yeah, man. Now you may say, well, suppose the whale was to, attack an innocent bystander. And I'm not going to say there's no innocent bystander. As I said, I was there once. I wasn't that close, but I could have been close enough for anything to happen. As a young, innocent child, maybe I wouldn't be the priest Isaac you know today. You understand? And at the same time, I visit zoos. Some people don't visit zoos for the same reason, but I visit zoos. If I have a brother in jail, I'm going to visit him. So I visit zoo. Anywhere I go in the world and there's a zoo, I'm going to the zoo because I need to see the tigers. So I'm going to visit them. Give thanks to them strong glass walls that they put up now, but I'm going to visit them. So in my book, innocent people can get killed. Trust me, in my book. Because anything could happen at the zoo. But most of the people there are just keeping up the vibes. When I have to pay them to go into the zoo, you don't think I screw? I say, fair. And I hope this money, this £20 I giving you, mate, becomes a judgment to this place. Yeah, and then go and show love to the animals. But to say I'm there working, not unless I have a plan. Because you could be right in the midst of the system, you know, even if you are police or CIA. Because sometimes you need people like that say, hey, I going in here, but I going in here like Samson, like one of them suicide bombers to blow everybody up. I ain't telling nobody to go kill themselves, but it's just the mentality I'm talking about. You're going to save your people, and if you have to put your life and just even your old pride on the line, you're going to make sure you save at least 1,000 people. So the 1,000 people that the CIA would have killed, you find a way to make it didn't happen just for being in there, and your own brothers will look at you and say, hey, he's a sellout, not knowing that you just saved his life. If it's a case like that, man, them whales so smart that you could talk to them and they would say to one another, it's obvious that the whale, you're the one that said they're human like. I am sure that if you were a revolutionary who purposely went and got a job to find a way to free them whales one day or the other, or find a way to disrupt the system from within, and you come out at night when everybody's went home and you're, you know what I mean, you're around the whales and you talk to them whales here would understand and say, hey, tomorrow we're going to launch an attack, right? But what about Katie? She's off tomorrow. Okay. Is Jim and the other fella coming in? All right. I don't like them. Yeah, we're going to catch them and we're going to fling them around like a beach ball. I mean, they're human-like, aren't they? The dolphins, them things brilliant, eh? Don't play around with them animals for real. All animals brilliant, eh? All of them intelligent, not just the dog. But in reality, from my own experience, because remember, the Caribbean, you know, dolphins are around. The dolphins have a very mystic vibes, man. Look at the island girls that sailed from Africa to Antigua, and they landed in Antigua. I'm sure you all have heard about them, the island girls. The dolphins were following them, coming across. The dolphins were with them. That's the account that they gave to me in the studio. The dolphins were with them, following them, protecting them. Look how them animals love us. And we've been taught through movie and Jaws and Wild Kingdom that as if we and the animals, like we're the enemy or something. And when you hear about them, you're supposed to run away. Yeah, man, I ain't got no problem with them eating up Kelty or whatever her name is. Straight up.
Tank at Sealand of the Pacific.
Yeah.
Although Tilikum wasn't the first one who began dragging Kelty, he took part, along with Haida and Nootka, in tossing the trainer from one orca to another. The girl tried to escape, and her screams were heard by other trainers who desperately tried to help. Yeah. Kelty Byrne died in front of a group of horrified visitors. It was the first signal of aggressive behavior by Tilikum. Tilikum was caught in 1983 in Iceland, and the next year was shipped to Canada. Since 1992, he's been living at SeaWorld in Orlando. In June 1999, 27-year-old Daniel Dukes, a SeaWorld visitor, stayed in the park after it was closed. At some point during the night, he stripped down to his swim trunks, placed his clothes into a neat pile, and jumped into the pool. The next day, his dead body was found in Tilikum's tank.
He's something else.
In 1997, in Taiji, Japan, a pod of 10 orcas was rounded up and driven into shallow water. 5 were taken and sold to marine parks across Japan. 2 of them quickly died.
True.
Overall, 28 orcas have been caught in Japan since 1972. Usually, orcas died either during the captures or soon after.
I mean, come on. No, you see, this is very inhumane. Brother Vaughn Benjamin have a song, I think is either on the album Unpolished or one of those early albums. Humanitarian, saving whales. Yeah, but even that, if they were really saving whales, that would be good. Look how they deal with the animals. These Japanese, these animals in captivity, eh? Not domesticated in captivity. They're psychologically troubled.
All right, definitely
And that is why at
give
any
thanks to
moment,
life,
for
give her the
real, when you
keeper
go
of
to the zoo,
life.
you better be careful.
No, you're not hearing double,
Because any
really.
chance them animals.
Okay, give thanks. This is me here now. Don't worry. Yes, that was just a previous recording. That was a program that was done like about I think, almost 2 years ago on the Shock of the Hour. Speaking about the whales, it's about an hour and a half, I think, in length of the program. So I was just giving you an excerpt of such. I really hope that you would have full enjoyed it, and of course you could see. I don't think there's too much I need to explain on what I said. It's just clarity. But as I said, that was just an excerpt from the Shock of the Hour. So I give thanks for all subscribers to the Shock of the Hour and all listeners to the Shock of the Hour. And of course, it's clear to see how you could subscribe to the Shock of the Hour today. Definitely, you could receive our nightly broadcast via your email. And as we always tell you, it will appear in your inbox. Programs like this and other programs which we do each and every day. We have a shock of the hour to do tonight. So what's the shock of the hour tonight? Anyway, gotta check the notes and whatever come to mind. Sometime we freestyle and just go with the flow. But we have a shock of the hour tonight. We have a shock of the hour tomorrow. We have a shock of the hour the next day. We have a shock of the hour the other day. Yeah, it's a shock of the hour all the way. So you could be a part of the shock of the hour. Just contact us precise at 27 at gmail.com. We give you you could get a monthly package, you could get a 6 month package, a yearly package. Man, you could even get a 1 week free trial. Definitely. And while you're doing that, make sure that you also inquire about the international homeschool classes for your young ones or even for yourself. I think that is a serious investment. I mean, everything that we offer here, everything that we offer, people would say, you're selling, well, you could call it what you want, but everything that we offer here is an investment. International homeschool, that's definitely an investment for sure. So definitely give thanks. Or just to remind you again, remember all of our books, our electronic books. These are our ebooks now. You could definitely get them on Amazon. You don't know how to get to Amazon, so just go to Amazon and check out Priest Isaac, you know. And of course, the books will be there. You know exactly how to navigate yourself. And remember, for sure, you gotta get your chalice, of course, your your cup. Definitely the Holy Grail. Have you seen the documentary? Not the documentary, really, but have you seen the recent episode that we did on the Holy Grail? If not, I would encourage you to check it out. And those of you who didn't see the second part, which is just a small part, directly dealing with the prophet Ezra. Well, Ezra is a priest too, eh? You know, it's Ezra and Nehemiah, the priest and the prophet there. You should definitely check it, Ezra and the Chalice Cup. I'm just saying this because you know we are a family here, and this is why I do this, so you could get the information and definitely move from there. All right, right. Well, we definitely give thanks to the life giver and the keeper of life. Give thanks to your presence with us, the Holy One of Israel, to be praised, Prophet, priest, and king. And since that was the mystic vibration there, we will just seal it up with the mystic vibration phrase thereof. If you know your Bible and you do not know your history, the knowledge of your Bible will become a mystery. And it takes some realize that are amongst us. Holy Manuel, Selassie, Jah, Rastafari, blessed Lord. That was a nice